let's look at the next section now, example number 2. So this is going to be working backwards. So we just had, I can't remember if it's 2 or 3 videos on how to do all of these, and now we're going to try to find the angle that got us the answer. So the first time I said the very first time I said find something off the chart, sine of 60 degrees. What is that off of the chart? Then I said find things like 120 degrees, so it aren't on the chart, but we could use a reference angle, just copy that and then use the cast rule. And now I'm giving you the answer, and I'm asking what was that angle? So that's what we're looking at here. So what angle gets you root 3 over 2, but negative? And so the first thing that we need to remember is the cast rule, and it says where sine is negative. Well, sine is positive in the sine quadrant, and it's also positive in the all quadrant. But I'm not looking for positive, I'm looking for negative. So sine is negative in 2 quadrants, and they happen to be the bottom quadrants. So let's keep that in mind. The other thing worth noting is, well, when does sine equal root 3 over 2? What is the angle? So root 3 over 2 for sine. So sine here is on the right, so root 3 over 2 is, up here. So that's the 60 degrees. So at 60 degrees, sine is root 3 over 2. So we need that. So we're going to look at we're saying, well, the reference angle, which I think I was doing in red, the reference angle here is 60 degrees. But we know that sine is negative in quadrants 3 and quadrants 4. So let's actually draw them. So this would be here, and we know that the reference angle is 60 degrees, and we want to know, well, what is that actual angle? And it's actually very easy to know, because you know that this is 180. This is 180. So, and you know your reference angle, so what could this be? Well, you have 180, and you go an extra 60 more, so you're looking at 240 degrees. So 240 degrees is one of the angles. But then we also had an angle that's in here. And we knew that this was 60 degrees. That's the only way sine gets you root 3 over 2. So if you know that the very end here is 360, then what would this have been? And so you have 360, and there's 60 there, so you know this angle would have been 300. Because 300 plus the 60 would have gotten you 360 degrees. So 300 is your other angle, 300 degrees. So when it asks for it, it says, for each equation, provide 2 angles. Okay, I've done that. 2 angles that make the statement true, in which case it's called solving. We're solving this. We're now finding, sometimes this is x, find x. So we have found theta. Theta is 240 degrees, or theta is 300. So if you were working backwards, I would have in the last section given you sine of 300. I would have said, well, what is that? And you're like, well, it's not on the chart. So then you would have gone 270, 360. You would have done this. You would have said, okay, here's 300. And 300 is not on the chart. So you have a reference angle. That gap is 60. And you're like, okay, well, I look at the chart. Sine of 60 is root 3 over 2. And then you would have done the cast rule, C-A-S-T. Oh, I'm in the cosine quadrant. Only cosine's positive. I don't have it, so I'll be negative. And then that's what we did last time. Negative root 3 over 2. Now I'm telling you it's negative root 3 over 2, and I'm asking you find the angle. So again, it's going to take a bunch of these for us to really understand the pattern. So let's go on and try. I'm going to skip tan. I'll try cosine for a moment. Now cosine here is a positive root 2 over 2. And I always know this, it says find 2 answers. Okay, so I know there's 2 things where they're positive and 2 where they're negative. Cosine is positive here and positive here. It's positive in the cosine quadrant, and it's positive in the all positive quadrant. That's why it's called all positive quadrants. So those are the only quadrants that I'm looking for. Now, what would the reference angle have been to get me root 2 over 2? So I look at the chart here, and I'm looking at cosine. So cosine is right here on the left. Root 2 over 2 is right here. that's 45 degrees. So 45 degrees would get me root 2 over 2. So my reference angle is 45 degrees. Therefore, when I draw this thing, I have this, and I'm looking for this angle, and I know that this gap is 45, then the answer is, well, what could this have been? So this is 0, and then I go up 45. Well, 0 plus 45 is 45. So one of the answers is 45 degrees. But I'm also in this bottom quadrant right here. And I know from the chart that this would have been 45 degrees. And I've labeled this as 0, but I'm now going to label this as 360 just because I've gone all the way around. So I'm labeling this as 360, and this would have been 45 degrees. Well, what would this angle have been? 360 minus 45, 315 degrees. So 45 and 315. So you can write down, okay, my angle theta, my actual angle, because my reference was 45, but the actual angles are 45 degrees and 315. So that's the A quadrant up here and the C quadrant. Again, we chose those two quadrants because that's where cosine is positive. Now, let's take a look at tangent. So, when does tangent give you 1 over root 3? So let's look at the chart. When does tan, now it's in green, when does tangent give you 1 over root 3? Oh, right here. Okay, so that is 30 degrees. So my reference angle would be 30. My reference angle would be 30 degrees. And there's 4 different possibilities here that would give me 1 over root 3, but I'm looking for the 2 where it's negative. So where is tangent negative? Well, tan is positive in the tan quadrant, so I can cross that, and it's positive in the L quadrant, so I can cancel that. So it must be in this sine positive quadrant, so tan would be negative, and cosine positive, so tan would be negative. So it's in these two, the S and the C quadrants. Now, you can just draw an angle that's in there, and you can write down your reference angle, 30 degrees. You can draw something here, draw something here, and then label that as your 30 degrees. And the idea is, what would this original angle have been? Well, you know that this is 180, and we're 30 less than that, so 150. And then it's like, it would be that one. What would that angle be? Well, this is 360 degrees, that's 30, so 360 minus 30 is 330 degrees. So my original angles, or my angles there, for that, if I had tan of 150 degrees, I would get that. And if I had tan of 330 degrees, I'd also get that. So I'll stop the video here and we'll do another 3 in just a moment.